at a blockade initiated by members of the Mi'kmaq Warrior Society to stop a motherfucking company called Southwestern Energy, or SWINE, from exploring their traditional territory for natural gas. This had been an escalation after many motherfucking months of peeps getting their asses beat by the murderous villains of the Royal Colonial Mountain Po-Niners, or RCM pigs.
You loser! You pig! You piece of pork! When you got in there, got some bacon curing pig! I'm the big pig! I'm the big pig!
The Warriors held their ground, stopping all motherfucking activity in the area until October 17th, when over 200 belligerent, steroid-filled pork stables descended on the camp like jackbooted fascist stormtroopers. This has to be the scariest shit I've ever been through. But I managed to fake being a badass long enough to avoid shitting on my pants. In the end, the real heroes that day were the folks from the community who came to support the Warriors and stood their ground until all the piggies were gone. Oh yeah, and they managed to torch 6 of their fucking pigmobiles. In the aftermath of the raid, there's been much shit talking about the Warrior Society by the motherfucking mainstream media.
So we're reluctant to crack down on organized Indian crime as opposed to organized Hells Angels crime or mafia crime. So it's not just our social guilt, it's our politicians' fear. Oh, they remember the Oka standoff where heavily armed Mohawk warriors stared down the Canadian forces and a Quebec policeman was murdered.
But in the end, those chode rockers don't really know shit about the Warriors.
Warriors, come out to play.
No, not those Warriors. These Warriors.
The Warriors react immediately. They use a front-end loader abandoned by the Sûreté du Québec to make several barricades, this time on the main highway, the 344.
In 1990, the Warrior Society gained international notoriety for beating back both the Canadian Army and the pigs from the Mohawk community of Ganasatagi in what is now known as the Oka Crisis. To find out more about the Warrior Society, I spoke with Clifton Nicholas of Ganasatagi. Hey Clifton, how the fuck are you?
I'm fucking great, man.
So, just what the fuck is the Warrior Society?
I have to state, I do not represent the Warrior Society. I do not speak on their behalf. And I don't even say they, because everybody has this misnomer that the Warrior Society is an organization. It's not. It's a movement. It's like, especially the media tried to paint the picture that the warrior movement is like organized crime or some kind of almost like a biker gang, when we're not. It has nothing to do with that. There are people who confuse between being a gangster and being a warrior. There's a very big difference between the two, and there's a line that divides the two. The Warrior Society is a movement that came to in the late 60s, early 70s. Kind of coincides with the start of the American Indian movement. And also the rights movements that were going on during the 1960s, the civil rights movement and so on. And the warrior movement, just simply a rekindling of the duties and responsibilities of men and women in the traditional societies and the roles and duties in defense of their people. And it's part of the Longhouse. The Longhouse people, the Great Law, the Gaina Goa, all governs the actions of this movement. There are some, I feel, that take the movement and try and separate it from the Longhouse and try and separate it from that and try to have it something that's going to be self-regulating. It doesn't work that way. The warrior movement is part of the Longhouse controls the warrior movement. And the warriors, there's no membership criteria except being Ungwehua, being a native, being indigenous, and having Gaina Goa in your heart. There's the warrior flag that you see from 1990 with the Mohawk on it. That's one flag, but the original warrior flag has a man and a woman. Because this is what it's supposed to be, right? It's not a male-dominated movement. It's the women who have a big part to play in this movement. And you would hear the media talk about like, well, the warriors are hiding behind the women. First of all, you don't tell them, you know, she won't take it from you. She'll do what she wants to do. And that's what we've known that. We had that wisdom to say that, you know, women have their place and they have a right to do what they're doing and they have a right to take part in everything. So then in 1990, when they seen the warriors there and the women were approaching the police telling them that they have to move, they have to go. What they're doing is they're not hiding. The men are not hiding behind the women. The women are actually protecting our adversaries. They're protecting them from us. It's their duty and their role to first put out that olive branch, right? Bring out that laurel. Here, let's discuss this. Let's negotiate. And they refuse to negotiate with us. So then the final step is the women pull back and the men take over. And this is the thing it's a big decision to make. That's why in the traditional world, in the way we look at it as Kanien'kehá:ka people, which is Mohawk, Kanien'kehá:ka people, it's the women who are in charge of warfare. It's the women who call the shots. It's the women who will decide that men will go to war, not men. It's not a male decision. Women will say to the men, now you can go to war. I buried the fire. I put out the flames. I put out the hearth. You can't come home to the hearth. There's nothing here. You have to go out and fight. So it's a woman's decision.
And can you explain what the longhouse is?
Okay, the longhouse is basically what we call ourselves. It's based on a traditional dwelling that we used to live in, which is an elongated family dwelling. That was again a matrilocal dwelling, where the clan would live. In our society, our lineage and our lineage and the descent goes through the woman. So it was the woman's, the matriarch's house, which is long and many fires for different families. So you have a nuclear family of a mother, a father or husband, and their child. There'd be a family, and each of these families would share a hearth with another one. So it'd be an elongated house. So the Confederacy of Iroquois nations, or we would call it our Haudenosaunee in Mohawk, or in Onondaga here as Haudenosaunee, which literally means the people of the longhouse. And this is a symbol of what we use as a symbol of our people. Then if you look on a spiritual and political end of it, the longhouse is the structure that was used to meet and have ceremonies in. So our political structures would be in the longhouse, and our religious ceremonies would be in the longhouse. So you hear the pan term, longhouse, in the longhouse people. You hear Iroquois people saying this often.
I've heard peeps say that there are similarities between anarchism and some traditional indigenous cultures. What the fuck? Yeah,
as anarchists, I think it's a natural thing for Haudenosaunee people to be anarchists. I always like one of the quotes. I don't know what his name was. Maybe you can find in research. It's a Jesuit who wrote about Haudenosaunee people and Mohawks in particular. And I love what he said when he said, each and every one of them are sovereign unto themselves. They follow no one and they take orders from no one. So that, to me, speaks volumes about being an anarchist, who are sovereign unto yourself. You have no kings, you have no masters. And our people historically did what they wanted, when they wanted, and how they wanted, both the men and the women.
Thanks, Clifton. And that about it for this edition of It's the End of the World as We Know It, and I Feel Fine. I want to say big ups to all who supported my work in the past 2 months while I've been producing other videos to support indigenous struggles in Turtle Island. It just fills my fucking heart with hot sauce knowing that you'll care more than just about riot porn and burning cops. So with that said, here's a long fucking list of thanks. Adrian, Tim, Benjamin, Kirk, Andres, Paul, Brent, Daniel, Alyssa, FG, Chris, Valentin, Miguel, Thomas, Max, NGS Sports Designs, Gregory, Nicole, Dana, Christian, Kyle, Swat, James, Harn, Audrey, Jonathan, Ilona, Angel, Peter, Harris Management, Danielle, Mary, Ryan, Jennifer, Mark, Erica, Richard, Sean, Karen, John, Jean, Justin, Robin, Brett, Stephen, Carol, Robert, James, Dad, Miguel, Stelasna, Otis, Samantha, Kirk, Andres, Julian, Dirty Laboratory, Seth, Max, Kira, Marique, Aaron, Bill, Craig, Katie, Willie, Brandon, Debesh, Nigel, Bruce, Maria, James, Ian, Bonnie, Anita, Waz, Osha, Alan, Jacob, Sarah,